Okay, everyone, this is my spoiler review of X-Men the Animated Series, Season 5, Episode 1, The Phalanx Covenant, Part 1. This originally came out September 7th, 1996, so this is when definitely the show changed a lot. You had the new animation going on here that is not very popular, and things kind of start feeling a little whack here. And one of the things that really stands out to me about this episode that feels really weird is just the sudden emergence of Mr. Sinister just being able to talk to Professor X with no bad blood and everything's cool. You know, like he's got an emergency call to Professor X this episode, and then it's very bizarre because it's not like Magneto where there's a history back and forth between him and Professor X, or it goes where they're okay with each other and they're not. This is like the most evil person in the show that's been causing him the most wreckage to this point, and all of a sudden they can have a phone call relationship when something's going wrong. So that was the most bizarre thing in the show to date and just felt really out of place. You needed something to kind of ease us into that and just explain a little more that would be the case, because where we left off with Mr. Sinister, he was just still trying to destroy the X-Men, basically take over the world of the Apocalypse. So it was very weird. But getting that out of the way, jumping into the episode as a whole, you see it opens with Sabretooth, and he's causing mayhem in the city. What's kind of cool about that is it really is the same exact setup that you saw in the beginning of episode 1 of the first episode of this show of all time. So that was a nice little callback in its own way, but the difference this time is that we'll see Sabretooth is actually possessed by the Phalanx. I like that Professor X sent Jubilee and Beast because he does not want Wolverine there to cause mayhem with Sabretooth. It's too personal for Wolverine. And Beast has really good moments in this episode. It really is another Beast episode. There's a lot of Beast episodes toward the ends of this show, which I thought was interesting. But he has really some of the best lines in this show, and I like that he uses tranquilizing gas here to take out Sabretooth. And he goes, "I find tranquilizing gas immensely preferable to physical aggression." Now, while this possessed Sabretooth is in the mansion, he's able to hack into the security cameras of the X Mansion. And I love we see Rogue and Professor X in their workout clothes. But the best is just Gambit shooting hoops, just going in. It was great. But Wolverine, you see how that heightened sense of smell really gets him out of a lot of trouble. And it happens here too, where he senses Sabretooth's not really Sabretooth, but it's not enough because this is a big villain they're dealing with here with the Phalanx. And you literally see it takes over all the X-Men except Beast. It literally almost looks like it's putting them in egg sacs. I like that when Beast figures out what's going on, though, he was just listening to a jazz record. So he's just trying to listen to his jazz in the X-Mansion by himself, and then finds this happening with the Phalanx. Now, he'll throw a grenade to get out of the X-Mansion, and he takes Logan's vehicle. And this is where he'll meet the friendly Warlock, and now he is part of the Phalanx. But we learned that him and his life mate did not align with the beliefs of the Phalanx and wanting to take over and assimilate everywhere. That's what we learned about the Phalanx from him, is that if they can't assimilate with something, they destroy it. So him and his life mate ditched, but they crashed on Earth, and the life mate was captured by the Phalanx. This is going to lead into the shame this character of Warlock will feel throughout the episode, that obviously he caused this Phalanx to come to Earth now and wreak havoc on Earth. What's cool about the episode is seeing Beast trying to figure out what to do and get help from different people, and more them being revealed to be possessed by the Phalanx. Like, that is the biggest threat of this shape-shifting entity. You can't trust anybody, even the president himself, who they figure out is possessed. But his Hail Mary play here is to call Forge. Who else to call when all else fails? And he's even hesitating. He's like, every time I do something with the X-Men, it's trouble. Now we'll see the Phalanx headquarters they've set up on Earth is the Empire State Building. It's completely possessed by the Phalanx, and we see the former lawyer of Beast and Genosian ambassador Cameron Hodge again. And he's really like the leader possessed by the Phalanx right now. He's talking to the Nexus, which is like this tree of just scary, ghostly heads that look like the heads from Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's a really deep cut of, but if you know what I'm talking about, and you've played that game, you know exactly what I'm referring to. But it's complete nightmare fuel. I will say this actually takes the cake as the scariest visual of this show to date. But you see the problem that the Phalanx has is that they can't fully assimilate the mutants. They have something in their DNA that won't let that happen. There's an X factor there. Now this will cut to Warlock and Beast on the road, and Warlock's eyes are just sticking out. And I love Beast goes, Please don't do that. That was really great little line they threw in there. Very funny. And I like that Sinister walks by them in disguise, is literally in a trench coat walking by them. It was just very humorous to me. But we get to see Quicksilver here, which was a nice surprise. And they meet Quicksilver and Forge at Sid's grill. And all of a sudden you realize everyone outside is possessed. Then you see that the waitress is even possessed. And then we get a little glimpse of Life Mate, Warlock's lover, and she is still stuck in this phalanx that's creatures possessing everybody, which also has the X-Men right now. But this creature will literally zap off the robotic leg of Forge, and then it's really weird because then Warlock takes over that leg, and then his head is popping out of his leg. It's very strange visually. And Quicksilver gets, like, no glory here. Like, we see him run really fast for a second, and then he just gets caught, and he's put in one of these egg sacs. But Sinister will show up to help, and now he's out of his disguise, obviously. And Beast is like, the pragmatism of the enemy of your enemy is your friend seems to apply. So it's still just strange seeing Sinister working with them. I just wish there was some connecting bridge to this. But at least they acknowledge how weird it is. And it will leave on this cliffhanger where Beast and Warlock, and now Sinister with them, see that the Empire State Building is fully possessed by the Phalanx and that the world is doomed, they say. So it is really a strange episode. I think the character of Warlock comes off almost too cartoony, and this is a kid's show, but it just feels like at the end game being a final season, it's tough to kind of sit through an episode like this where it feels like so many of these X-Men you love as the show went on start fading into the background, and this is no different. And you got to get adjusted to the new animation style, and it's just so bizarre with Sinister all of a sudden helping out now and being able to just be on call with Professor X. I just so hard to get over that. But it's a decent episode. It's not terrible. I still enjoyed some of it, and Beast still has some great lines here. And the villain's interesting. I think it's interesting that he can possess people and then shapeshift, and that you don't know who to trust adds a good effect to the mystery and suspense of it all. So I'm going to give this one a 7.5. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button so you don't miss one of my reviews of the animated series, and I'll also be doing X-Men 97, and I'll see you next time.